Hello, it is 9 p.m. in Cairo, our time for top stories, and we start our top stories with latest developments in Libya. The Supreme Commander of the Arab Libyan Armed Forces, General Khalifa Haftar, stressed that the results of the visit to Jordan was positive and fruitful, noting that Jordan exerted great efforts to introduce all kinds of support to Libya. General Khalifa Haftar said after a meeting with Jordanian officials that the Arab Libyan Armed Forces are fighting terrorism on behalf of the world, referring to the embargo imposed on importing arms for Libya. Moreover, he noted that the Arab Libyan Armed Forces are not in need of men to defeat terrorism, but they are rather need lifting the ban imposed on arming them. Special forces of the Arab Libyan Armed Forces took control of new positions in Bouatni district in Benghazi. According to a spokesman for the Special Forces, Colonel Milud Zawi, noted that the forces succeeded after recent battles during latest days to take control of new strategical sites. Moreover, he noted that armored vehicles were deployed to the new sites, adding that battalion camp number 319 became a target was waiting for orders from the General Command of the Arab Libyan Armed Forces to progress towards the camp and freed it from remnants of terrorist militias. Terrorist Daesh group continued random shelling of Fatah Heights residential areas in the east coast region of Derna, causing material losses and displacement of many residents to save neighborhood of the city. A source added that the Air Force bombed positions of extremist Daesh group in Fatah Highlands, which resulted in stopping the bombing. Moreover, the Air Force targeting a vehicle belonging to Daesh elements, totally burning it. In the meantime, the source pointed out that Fatah Heights witnessed violent clashes with tanks and rocket missiles between terrorist Daesh elements and people of Derna. Libya's envoy to the United Nations, Ibrahim Dabbashi, noted that the Sanctions Committee of the UN Security Council is still determined to exercise an undeclared pressure to reject decisions of arming the Arab Libyan Armed Forces, the matter that resulted in blocking the government efforts to fight terrorism. Dabbashi added that the Security Council links between reaching the formation of a national unity government and lifting the arms embargo in armed forces, ignoring the danger of terrorist Daesh group expansion in Libya, which will lead to a humanitarian disaster in the country. He also stressed the need to take decisive steps by the UN Security Council in order to avoid the deteriorating security situation, which may turn into a civil war. The Turkish Coast Guard rescued around 107 migrants, mostly from Afghanistan and Syria, today off the coast of Turkey across the Greek island of Lesbos. 2 people drowned and 5 were believed missing when a dinghy carrying migrants capsized in the same area in a separate incident. Lesbos, which lies less than 10 kilometers from the Turkish coast, has seen thousands of arrivals in recent months, mostly refugees from the Syrian civil war. In the past week alone, 8 groups believe numbers have exceeded 1,500 per day. The migrants then head to the Greek mainland and try to make their way north through the Balkans. Long lines snagged through southern Serbia by foot today before jumping on trains and buses north of Hungary on the last leg of an increasingly desperate journey to Western Europe. More than 2,300 people have died this year in an attempt to reach Europe by boat, according to the International Organization for Migration, mainly on a much longer crossing from North Africa to Italy. And now we transfer to the Arab arena, especially in Yemen. Rockets, which launched by militiamen, killed 14 civilians, most of them children, as fighting intensified for control of Yemen's third largest city, Taiz residents today. The Saudi coalition opposing the Houthis also launched air raids on military bases and Houthi positions in the southwestern city during the fighting. Residents said that no casualties were reported. Fighters loyal to Yemen's exiled government have been contesting control of Taiz with the Houthis since April. Hundreds of combatants and civilians have been killed. The northern-based Houthis, a Shiite Muslim group, took control of Yemen's capital Sana'a last September. Arab countries intervened in the conflict in March to halt a Houthi advance into south, which caused a Saudi-backed government to flee to Riyadh from its refuge in the southern port of Aden. Month of airstrikes and arms deliveries by rich Gulf states to the government loyalists began to pay off last month when they seized back Aden and made surprise gains towards Yemen's north and Sana'a. And now we transfer to Daesh crisis. Syria's director of Antiquities and Museum, Ma'mun Abdul Karim, called today on national and international purchase to free the ancient cities of Palmyra from terrorist Daesh group in order to avoid an international disaster. Extremist Daesh militants blew up the temple of Baal Sham, one of the most important sites of Palmyra, the first time the insurgents who control swathes of Syria and Iraq and captured the ancient city in May damaged monumental Roman era ruins. Abdul Karim added that the militants were also beginning excavation for gold and giving license for illicit excavation of the city's treasures. Before the city is captured by extremist Daesh group, Syrian officials said they move hundreds of ancient statues to safe locations out of concern that the militants would destroy them. In June, terrorist Daesh group blew up 2 ancient shrines in Palmyra that were not part of its Roman-era structures, but which the militants regarded as pagan and sacrilegious. Meanwhile, the UN Cultural Agency UNESCO said that terrorist Daesh group demolition of the renewed ancient Roman temple is a crime that targeted a historic symbol of the country's diversity. And we transfer to Ukraine. Chancellor Angela Merkel said on Monday that a ceasefire agreement in eastern Ukraine was not being respected and everything must be done to fully implement the broader peace deal reached in February. The ceasefire agreement has not been fully implemented, and that means that have been more and more victims, Merkel said in a news conference in Berlin with the French President François Hollande and Ukraine President Petro Poroshenko. The first and foremost condition said that everything is done to make the ceasefire agreement a reality. The task at hand means that what we agreed in Minsk has to be respected. Merkel added, we are here to implement the Minsk deal, not to call it into a question. More than 6,500 people, including hundreds of civilians, are being killed in the conflict. Both sides have withdrawn large numbers of heavy weapons from the conflict zone in line with the Minsk agreement, but sporadic clashes still take a steady toll of lives daily. And now we transfer to India, and it's India's interim minister Rajavan Munib called for Pakistan, calling of the talks between national security advisors and SA of the two countries, and said Islamabad deviated from the agenda set in youth last month. The planned peace talks between India and Pakistan collapsed hours before they were to start yesterday, raising questions about the rivals' willingness to overcome mutual mistrust built since their separation almost 7 decades ago. This is the second time that nuclear-armed neighbors have cancelled talks since Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi took office in May last year, with both sides choosing to engage in a war of words ahead of planned two-day meeting of their top security advisors, saying so that it is unfortunate that talks were called over as India was keen to have them. In the now-cancelled talks, India wanted to only discuss militancy-related issues and objected to Pakistan's intentions of meeting separatists from Kashmir. Pakistan wanted a wider agenda. However, India's opposition Congress party blamed a Modi-led Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP) government for not having a clear roadmap and making a mockery of the whole situation. My audience, that is the wrap-up of our top stories for today. For much more, you can check our website, www.watanalkarama.tv. Thanks very much for being with us. See you next time. My greeting, Rانيا البليدي.